Metaphorically speaking, I'm not the greatest of rappers. I pull my ego aside, be the first to admit it. I tell them technically speaking, people be holding you backwards. They say they're keeping it real, but I can tell that you did it. When you speak it from the heart, you know it's hard to fall apart, boy. From the start, I never cared about the charts, boy. You're mad at me for thinking I'ma be the lesser man, but little do you know I probably came up with a better plan. I'm shattering the stereotype, show you how to delegate. The one to say it twice, rather meditate. You're popping bottles with your models when you celebrate, but tell me when you're done, then I can show you how to elevate. Take you to the next level. I'm not a daredevil, just a renegade about to set the record straight and hoping for the day I die so I can see the heavyweights like Hootie, Simone, Basquiat, Holiday. Rappers in the game and what they're rapping to us. Shit they wanna claim that never happened to us. You're thinking that you're great, you're only average, homie. I bet you think you're butterflies, to me you're caterpillars. Man, I'm grown, I don't fuck with your trends, and I'ma live till I'm 110. On what's a man to a friend, what's a soul to a keep? If I don't speak from the heart, then why the fuck should I speak? Check it, I went through hell to find the book of life and read it through the last chapters. Smoke a J like I'm a jam master, just before I crumble like a sandcastle. They don't miss you, the fucking brothers up like Lannisters. Get it? I'm in my own section, sitting streets, I know the pressure. I hate the town, I found graffiti filled with stolen treasures. And then I realized the rules are never changing though. I'm really trying hard to make it though. Cause yesterday was not for me, but nowadays it's all for me. So when I'm moving time, you know I'm moving very cautiously. And even though I'm cautious, I'm known to do shit so properly. After I am done, them boys be like, nah, this is not for me. This cinematic experience brought to you by yesterday was not for me, but nowadays it's all for me. So when I'm moving time, you know I'm moving very cautiously. And even though I'm cautious, I'm known to do shit so properly that after I am done, them boys be like, nah, this is not for me. I take some time with all my reparations. I know, payback time, this ain't for preparations. They know, ain't got time for all your hesitations. And this is rap, boy, this is not a dissertation. Game is up for grabs and you can take it, that's what Aaron told me. You can make it last, cause that's what Aaron told me. Somebody tell the boys that we be taking over. I'll be coming home from all these after parties, barely sober, trench coat, white socks, killing with my Snickers on. I never left the house without my Snickers on. You should know the story before you speak upon me. And you should know the man in which you snitch upon. Dorian's grave, just the man, I'm not a martyr though. I'm sipping champagne with a girl down in Monaco. They never had no breakfast at Tiffany's, but now we got them Tiffany for breakfast. Yeah. And it's all good. It's all good. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wherever you're watching this. Welcome to this episode of MoftMinds. I still go by the name of Dorian's Grave. And of course, we find ourselves at the House of Literature in the auditorium in beautiful Bergen City on a Friday night. Today we have two rather special guests, actually. By way of Burundi, we have Francine Mbanza Jensen joining us tonight. And of course, we have my boy, Boemo Hansen, by way of Botswana and Denmark. The reason I'm laughing is for a long time I actually thought Boemo was half Norwegian, but it turns out he's not. So that's pretty kind of cool. We're going to be talking about some of their stuff today, some of their work. We're going to be highlighting some of the things they have done. We're going to, see how we can, spread love to the people of color and the African community, of course, because sometimes when you live here long enough, you kind of notice that there is a lack of representation in terms of people from a different backgrounds or minority backgrounds here in Norway. So we decided on MoftMinds that we were going to highlight people who are creative and people who come from a different place to talk about their stuff and hopefully inspire people who are also trying to figure out how to break
through the boundaries. Francine.
Yes.
Tell us about Burundi. What was it like, growing up there?
Yeah, it was very good. I like Burundi. I was born there, and it's a very nice place. It was very nice to live there, but we have had some issues, political issues, ethnic issues, but it was nice to be there.
Do you miss it?
Yeah, very much. A lot of friends there. Yeah.
What do you miss about Burundi exactly, as opposed to Norway?
In Burundi, you can see people everywhere. You have someone to talk to all the time. You just go out, and it's very nice. It's not like, in Bergen, it's a very nice place, Norway, but sometimes you can be alone.
Lonely.
Yes,
Okay.
because everybody is busy. They don't have time to meet people maybe sometimes, but in Burundi, you just go outside. You can make friends easily.
You don't have to know who they are. You just meet people.
Yeah, you can just talk and be. It's easy to make friends there.
So, coming to Norway from a place that you just described, what did you feel when you came here? What did you see? What differences did you notice right away?
It was a very, very difficult for me coming from Burundi because I was alone. I didn't have family, friends. It was a new culture, language. It was very difficult,
Yeah.
And I didn't have people to be with, to hang out with. It was very difficult for me in the beginning.
Was it kind of depressing in a way?
Yeah, I was depressed. Yeah.
There's this misconception when you're living in Africa sometimes, and people hear you live outside of Africa, they always think that, oh wow, it's amazing, that you live there. And of course, I get it. We live in a socially functional society in terms of social welfare and whatnot, But people don't understand is that this place actually takes its toll on you. It does. Like you just said, in Burundi, you go outside, you meet people, you have a good time. The weather is probably amazing, to say the very least, But we're gonna get back to that in a second.
Yeah.
And Mr. B,
Yes.
Boemo, tell us, man. Coming out of Copenhagen
Yeah.
and ending up in Bergen.
And up in Bergen, yeah. It was a bit of a, again, culture shock, a different. Copenhagen is so large, and there is so much happening in Copenhagen all of the time, and it's such a diverse place. There's a lot of vibrant life, and I was living right next to Christiania in Copenhagen.
Oh wow!
So I had
Okay.
all of that beautiful melting pot of humanity. And then coming to Bergen, it's also smaller. You can say that. There's and more wet. So those two things combined, it kind of makes it harder, like you said, to meet people and to really get outside and be part of society that way.
But then again, it's kind of, for viewers who are not familiar with how it can be in Copenhagen and how it can be in Bergen. Say, for example, people are outside Scandinavia or somewhere in Africa watching this, because I think a lot of people are under the impression that Denmark, Norway, Sweden, same, same thing. But then again, when you coming out of Copenhagen, given the occupation you've chosen to chase, which is art, one would think that Copenhagen might just be a better fit.
Yeah, that is true. Unfortunately, in Copenhagen, I wasn't an artist. I did not do any art in Copenhagen. I only discovered my painting things like 5-6 years ago.
Wow.
And in Copenhagen, I was a student. I was a chef. I was a bartender. I was just living that student life in Copenhagen. And I find that Copenhagen people are more boisterous, There's a little bit of the African quality going on because you have to raise your voice louder when you're in a bigger city, kind of.
Why do you think that is?
So many people. I think that it's so easy to get lost in a crowd.
Right.
But then if you raise your voice properly and make yourself heard, it's, I don't know how to say it.
Did you ever go to Copenhagen?
Not yet, but I've been in Denmark.
How
Legoland with my kids.
Yeah, Francine has kids, by the way. That makes a lot of sense. But even when you were there for that probably a long weekend or something, I mean, did you notice a difference still? Or was that trip not long enough for you to see the difference between Denmark and Norway?
I didn't see the difference because it was many tourists from everywhere.
Of course.
It was difficult to see. Yeah.
Of course. All right. So we're just going to jump into this because the two people you see here in front of us today, ladies and gentlemen, they are people who just create cool stuff, to be honest. And Francine, you had a different kind of Corona experience, you know. I mean, of course, we all went through the lockdown, but you actually managed to write
Lockdown.
I mean,
Christmas pandemic. Yes.
yeah. What was going through your mind when you did this, and what happened exactly when you said, "Okay, now I'm going to write this"?
You know, I like writing, and I have been doing this before. But when it was a lockdown, I was home, and I had a lot of time with my kids, family, and my daughter was scary, and he was asking me many questions about Corona, and it was very difficult to find, information for kids, And I know that I like comics book. I've been reading comic books since when I was a child, and that it was I don't remember what happened, but I told her, maybe we can just starting to
draw.
Yeah, to draw, not to draw, to write a bit,
okay.
and it became a story, And I like telling story by using comic books, and I have friends who are cartoonists, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
When was your first introduction to comic books?
When?
Yeah, when did you discover comic books that you liked?
I think that it was when I was a little bit, when I was small.
Do you remember your first comic book?
Yeah, we were reading all time comics, books.
But do you remember your first?
Yeah.
Which character did you read about the first time you got in touch with a comic book?
I think that it was Tente or Congo. Tintin.
I love it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Because when we look at your work, Lockdown, and it's based on a character called Kira.
Yes.
And Kira is not what you normally see on a comic book.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
True.
It's not often we see comic books with people of color represented as the superheroes.
True.
What made you say, okay, now I'm going to make a comic book or write a comic book, and then the character is going to be a female with superpowers and has what you call a ball gate, to tell her if there's anyone in need anywhere, what's going on, so she can actually be there on time. What made you decide to choose this particular character?
I'm from Burundi, and I live in Bergen. I have kids. When you watch TV or read books or others comic books, it's all we watch is like it's a little bit representations, and this is very important for me. You can never watch a female black people on TV, not so often, And I want you to, to show that black people, black women can also be superheroes,
Wow.
So it was very important, I have kids, they have, they have to watch themselves on TV and read on when they are reading books, because it can affect them on many ways. We only see when we are watching, superheroes. It's only white men, and it was very important for me to create something different.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
I like, and that's what I actually found fascinating. And sometimes you don't even think about it, which is kind of scary. You go all your life reading comic books, but you never really stop sometimes and just think and say, "Hey, wait a minute. Where are the people of color?
Yeah.
Can they be superheroes too?" Of course, we know we have Black Panther, right? And of course, we have Luke Cage, but he's not really a superhero per se. He's a guy who's just super strong,
Yeah.
And it bothers, because when kids grow up here and they look on television, all they see is white faces with superpowers.
Saving the day.
Saving the day, right?
Yeah.
Saving the day. And then when they're so young, what people don't understand is that it's a very impressionable nuance in the minds of these kids. So I saw this and I said to myself, okay, gonna pick that up. That's super interesting, And for those who haven't read Lockdown, please pick it up. It's 2 books. It's Lockdown, and it's one called You Le Pandémie, which we're gonna get to.
Christmas pandemic.
Which you're gonna get to in a little bit. But let's talk about you, my guy Boemo. Okay, so you lived in Copenhagen.
Yep.
School, chef,
Bartending,
bartending. God damn, it's like
All that stuff.
covered the whole service industry.
Yeah, pretty much. I was in the back, in the front, everywhere.
Back of the house, front of the house, everything. Okay. And then you come to Bergen, and all of a sudden you discover this new thing.
Yeah, it started with my kids. I have 2 beautiful little girls, and the oldest, she went into the bath, she took a bath, came out of the bath, her hair was all wet, and then she made a really weird face, like, bleh. I took a picture of that face and said, "That's just so awesome. I'm going to paint that." Okay. Just a random thought that came up. So I did that. It turned out really, really cool.
Okay.
I did another one of the second born. That turned out also cool. And then a friend of the family, she saw these pictures and said, "Hey, can you do some of my children?" I said, "Yeah, sure, I can do such a thing."
Okay.
And that just kind of snowballed from there. Just started doing commissions, portraits of people, and then now we're here. Yeah.
That's great. Well, that's it.
That's basically it. It's like picked up a paintbrush and said, "Hey, shit, I can do this. Let's go on."
Wow, impressive.
I can do this. Let's go on.
Yeah.
I think that's something that goes into the minds of creatives sometimes, when you figure out that you one thing and you're like, yeah, that's dope. I can do that. Let's go on. And this is something you usually tell yourself, usually in your own space.
Yes.
Let's go on. When we say let's go on, we mean let's take over the world at some point and show the world what we're made of, kind of thing. Janssen Loven is out of the picture. But
I like to say we're trying to secure our immortality. This is what's going to be left of us once we're all dead and our generations of kids are dead.
Makes sense.
What's left? Kira.
But we gonna because when you say let's go on, it's like, is it really that easy to go on though? Or do you stop sometimes and say to yourself, no, I don't want to go on? Does that happen to you, Francine? Do you ever doubt yourself and say, this is not going to work out? I can't do this. Even though you've already written 2 books, we know, but do you ever stop to think that?
Yeah, many times actually. Sometimes I have so many ideas, and I like to do things, but sometimes I say to myself, I cannot do it. It's difficult, and when you are new immigrant, there are so many voices saying to you, you cannot do it. Even it's difficult for Norwegians.
Wow.
Sometimes you can believe them and say, I cannot do it. It's difficult for me. But I have learned that if I have some ideas, I can try. I can do it. Why not me?
Of course.
I have
Why not
so
you?
many things. Yeah.
Why not
I'm
you?
good. I'm good enough, you know.
But here's a question, and we could talk about, like, say we say immigrants, we say we live here, and we know there's what you call implicit bias. You know, we know there is this thing where, no, you're a person of color, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, we know that. But here's the thing, though. Here's a catch. Do you think you would have created Kira if you were in Burundi?
Maybe.
It's an impossible
Difficult
question.
question.
It is an impossible question, but the reason I asked the question is because we have obstacles, yes, you know, but when we now actually talk about flipping those obstacles and turning them into possibilities, I would like to believe this is one way to do it. You know, you've used your surrounding around you, because when you're in Burundi, right, it's mostly people of color like you. You know what I mean? You don't really think about racism,
Yeah,
because
that's
there really
right,
is
that's
no
right.
there really is no racism, you know. And you probably go on reading Tintin and all the other comic books, you know. But I feel like when you now come here, your activism kicks in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All of a sudden, you're aware of the very fact that you are a minority. And that doesn't sit well with you, especially people like Francine, who is a strong woman, and she's saying, no, I came from Burundi, I can do this, you know. But you, on the other hand, though, do you feel that kind of, I mean, I know your inspiration came from your daughter making a funny face and all that, but do you feel sometimes that you live in a society that doesn't similarly give you a fighting chance to create and show your work at its full?
Well, yes and no.
Right.
Because I'm a very private person, and I don't really want to, haven't tried to show myself yet. So I haven't really met that obstacle yet, because I've not done this before.
What's the first time on the
my first time on a thing, my first time showing things, like really trying to make it. So I'm looking forward to meeting these obstacles and like overcoming them, because honestly I have not had to deal with that in this context. I mean, with other things, yes, but
Yeah, because art is an
the
expression
art.
of life.
Right.
I don't think it's an imitation of it. It's an expression of it.
Right.
Right. And that's a beautiful thing to say. And I want to maybe even touch on that, because I like how you put it, that I haven't really tried, you know,
Yeah.
so the obstacles are not there yet. Because certain people I meet sometimes, they haven't really tried, you know. Maybe they made the one thing and it didn't work out. And then rather than say, hey, let me make another one and let me see, because someone said your first 100 paintings are trash. Someone said that, you know, and I said, shit, if that's the case, then sure, definitely trash, you know, and people don't really try as much, because it's so easy for us, because now I'm trying to be as understanding and rational as possible. It's so easy for us to say, oh no, man, it's Norway, no chance for us, you know. But like you said,
Right.
you haven't really
Haven't tried yet.
tried it yet.
Yeah.
You know, this is your first two pieces right here. Do you see yourself making more of these?
Yes, I think that I'm very glad that I have done this, and you know, it's my hobby. I don't do it for full time, and
Did you wish you did it for full time though?
yeah, one day, why not? I hope that Kira will survive Corona, you know, and yeah. I can, yeah, I am very, you know, I'm very happy. I got good response from everywhere, you know. They have said, this is very interesting, you know.
When you look at your kids growing up in Norway,
Yeah.
for example, and you grew up in Burundi,
Yeah.
do you fear sometimes that your kids might not be proud of where they come from?
Yeah, that's actually why I created Kira, because, you know, they are born here and everything they watch on TV, it's like crying kids, hungry. You know, we only see bad things on Africa, and it can affect them, but I know I was born in Africa. I know that we have so many good things to show, and I'm trying to work on the identity because it's very important for me. I don't want them to say, no, I'm not from Africa. I want that if one day they will be asked, are you from Africa? I'm from Burundi, that they can be proud, Right. And actually, it's helped talking about Kira, because you can say, oh, she's from Burundi, she's strong. Yeah, I think that is very important. That I like representation. I like that when they are reading, they're watching TV, they can, they can see African faces. I'm from Burundi, even if they have a father from Norway.
Right. He's Norwegian, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I want them that they can be proud they are brown, can be proud of that, having two cultures. It's very important. Yeah.
Best of both worlds kind of thing. Yeah. Right, because there is a lack of representation when it comes to people of color in I would say Norway, but we see it everywhere, pretty much.
Western society,
It's somewhat depressing, actually, because I say to myself sometimes, I don't think Norway know what it's actually missing out on, because we see the United States of America, and we say to ourselves, man, America does this and this and this and this, but then again, America is a melting pot of different ethnic backgrounds actually doing great things. Michael Jordan, NBA. You move into golf, Tiger Woods. You see all these people there. You go to hip hop, it's just people black, who are soul, people of color. And I think them being able to express themselves fully, creatively, is exactly probably what makes that country look the way it looks. Do you think about such things when you're creating your art, for example? Or are you neutral with it?
Basically neutral with it. I mean, I've just started this project here.
We're going to get into that. Because we can look at your work that's right here on the table, for example. Let's say we start with, I'm going to reach out and pass it on to you. You can just show the camera or something, which
camera is that camera?
That's you.
That's me.
All right, so.
It's my little African child.
With all the love.
With all the love. Yeah. Just showering the child with love. Botswana is a desert country. Yeah. And we love water. That's our because we're a desert, we kind of like pray to the water, and the water gods the water is important to us. And this beautiful child getting showered with love and water, and just this is also part of the African identity that I recently discovered, I have to say, because
You were in Botswana?
I was in Botswana
For how
in
long?
2019. I spent the whole year there.
Wow.
Trying to get back, because I've been in Denmark for such a long time and Bergen for such a long time. I moved to Denmark when I turned 18, right? Okay. So basically all of my adult life was spent in Denmark and Norway. And then recently, 2019...
Wait, you moved in Denmark when you turned 8?
Yeah.
Where were you before that?
I was in Botswana.
You were in Botswana?
Okay.
Grew up there, yeah.
So what kind of... Because we talked about the differences between Denmark and you being in Norway.
Yeah.
But then again, tell us about the difference between when you were in Botswana, growing up in Botswana, and then ending up in Denmark.
That's mad. Madness. Just general madness. Because I came from Botswana, nice little village in Botswana, beautiful. That was like small-ish. And then I moved to Denmark, which is really, really big, Copenhagen. I was 18 years old with no adult supervision.
Okay.
It was a problem. It was a problem, I can say.
Okay.
So this is why it took me so long to rediscover my Botswana identity. Because I was just very impressionable youth thrown into the dogs, the wild nature of Copenhagen.
Was it scary?
Very. Yeah, very.
What was the one scary experience you had?
One scary experience I had. I got lost one time. Getting lost in Copenhagen is a very easy to do because I did not know which the buses to take, and I was on a bicycle at the time because I was just over at school, and from school I was going to cycle home. Then I get lost and I wind up on the other side of town, like literal many kilometers away from where I was supposed to be, and I've got no street references, barely speak the language, you know, and there is some underlying racist tensions in Copenhagen as well, where people of color are not really, I mean, Denmark is very racist, I can say that.
I didn't know that.
I did not know that.
That is unfortunately very true. And some areas of Copenhagen, they are like these high-class suburb areas. And when you walk down the street there, you can just like hear the guard dogs picking up their ears, and you've got people like looking out the windows at you. And you feel very out of place in places like this.
But then again, when you say it like this, though, it's easy for you to say this in hindsight.
Yes.
But you're coming out of Botswana, mate, you know, and you lived there till you were 18.
Yeah.
Did you experience any form of like, hey, man, you don't belong here type of thing?
Yes.
In Botswana?
In Botswana, yes.
Wow.
Yes. Because I'm half Danish.
You're half Danish.
I was always like the little white boy kind of thing. It's like, hey man, you're too white to play with us kind of.
Okay.
So I was basically grown up with that aspect as well. So I'm used to that, you know, it's not such a big deal for me because it's like when you've grown up with being
the different
one, then it's easy to be different, and then you just kind of shrug it off. You see it everywhere and it makes you very much aware of it, but I guess you grow a certain armor towards it.
That's what I heard people say, actually. Like a thick skin.
Like a thick skin. But then when you've really, like I'm talking about these high-class suburbs where there's not a black person in sight, you know, unless they're there to deliver your mail or whatever. But when you grow up, when you come to these places, then you find the sense of danger, you know. Then there's people who can actually hurt you because you're not supposed to be there. And that is a scary thing when you're like young, impressionable youth, all alone. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, no.
That's interesting because it's we can juxtapose that in terms of like you are half African. You grew up in Botswana. Still, you didn't fit in.
Still, I didn't fit in.
You know, we can laugh a bit about this, but the truth is, it's really not that funny, to be honest. You know, but it just happened. We've heard so many of these stories sometimes that we become kind of immune to it somehow. You know, and then you are African, living in Botswana, where you felt like I'm home.
Burundi.
Sorry, living in Burundi,
yes.
and then you felt like I'm home. And then you come to Norway, and then you say, okay, I am definitely not home. You know, what does that do to you? As in, because I know you still went on to write this, but we're just trying to highlight these things, you know, for people who are probably looking at this and trying to make sense of it all, and just let them know they're not alone in this struggle, you know. Did you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going back to Burundi. I can't stay here anymore?
I don't think so. You know, the first time I can remember I experienced this, racism. It was after my graduation. I got my first job, and it was working about helping people. Yeah. And when you meet people every day, in Norwegian, not only Norwegians and other groups, it was, I didn't know what was racism,
Right.
and
Makes sense.
I could, it was so many comments like that. I don't want you to help me. I want your colleague, Norwegian colleague. But,
Well, people were telling you that they didn't want you to
yeah.
help them.
Yeah.
They rather want your Norwegian colleague
Yeah.
to help you. Okay.
yeah. And it was like, it didn't hurt, but it was like comic for me because, I couldn't understand that people could think about, could be like that, It was new for me, and I knew that I was different, but I didn't want know that. It was new for me, and I remember when I was, we used to go out to do inspections, and I was with my colleague. And one day we visited a house, and he introduced me, and she said, "Hi, this is Francine, my new colleague." And it was a woman who said, "Oh, I would like also to have a servant." It was, what do you
What
say?
the fuck?
My colleague tried to. No, it's not. It is not my servant. We had the same position, but it was such comments almost every day, and we were working outside, and they can say, "Oh, when I used to have on my job card all time, like a police officer,
Okay.
because, I thought you were a thief,
Oh,
What's up?
it was, it was such comments.
Norway, right?
Yeah, it was Norway, in Bergen, actually.
In Bergen, okay.
But, I didn't know what to say, but it was one day I was very angry. I was working, and I had to deliver something very important to someone. And I rang the doorbell, and she opened to me. She opened, and when she saw me, she started yelling at me for 10 minutes without stopping. And I had forgot my job card in my car outside. I couldn't identify myself. And when she finished, I said, "Hi, I want to give you this for tomorrow." It was, she switched from, it was like another person.
oh my God.
It was very, I was very angry. And from that day, she was, "Oh, do you want coffee? Because do you want come in?" But it was very horrible,
Yeah.
And it was not Norwegian or white. We have to talk about other groups as well. There are racism everywhere.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
It was like, oh my gosh, this was not good.
That's intense.
That's intense,
wild.
scary thing to experience. I mean,
Yeah.
you could, right. Sorry about that. That's. I just need to get myself together a little bit. No, because it's this thing you hear all the time when people say things about, "Oh, there is no racism in Norway." Every now and then I'm scrolling down my Facebook, and there's always some article or the other about these things, and people actually trying to justify that there is no racism in Norway. And the truth is, I just scroll past it because I'm looking and saying, you're obviously very ignorant. You have no idea what's going on in your own society. And recently there was actually, I think it was a dossier or something written about findings of racism in Bergen. they'd written
Right.
this report on it. And someone asked what I felt about it, and I said, well, did you really need to write a report for us to know that there was racism in Norway? Like, we already knew,
I mean,
which lends credence to what Miriam Makeba, I don't know if you know who that is. Miriam Makeba is this amazing singer from South Africa, of course. And she said something where she said, it is not until the white man writes about something that it exists. If the white man doesn't write about it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I kept that thing she said kept nagging in the back of my mind, and I became so angry, saying, did you really have to write a report to make it official that there is racism in Bergen? We could have just asked Francine over here, who have people yelling at her.
Yeah.
We're not going to try too much to focus on these horrific stories, because I think they're kind of really amazing. I mean, but we kind of have to touch on them.
They are amazing, right? I mean, it kind of blows your mind sometimes. I say I've got a thick skin about it, but every time it happens, and it's like, oh my God, do you really think that way? Did you really just say that? Did you really just say that? And I work in a kindergarten. I've had little children like yay big saying, no, don't touch me. Your color will rub off on me, you know? It's like, what is happening? What is even happening? And where does that come from? That doesn't make any sense. You know?
Kids are not born with hate.
Yeah.
Right? Kids are not born with hate.
It's coming from somewhere, obviously.
Yeah.
It has to.
Guessing in the household of sorts, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not okay.
Yeah. It's not okay. Yes.
It's I find it very interesting that a continent or a nation or whatever that claims to be the best in the world and all that, or the number one, the best country to live in, you know, still doesn't know or still doesn't want to acknowledge that some people are actually monsters living amongst us here. And trust me, I've met a bunch of these people. But let's try to move on. We'll probably go back to that. It's hard.
I want to say that I think that Norway as a country is not racist, but like you say, it's some people, you know.
Of course.
There is
Well,
it's not everybody.
and we can find them everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's clarify that.
Definitely.
Not everybody in Norway is a racist. Let's just say that for sure.
There's so many.
But there are a
good
lot of them
people.
who are, you know, and the problem is accountability. A lot of people don't want to say they are. You know,
Exactly.
they rather do the two-faced thing and smile in your face and then kill you in your back afterwards, which is pretty standard around here these days sometimes. But anyways, let's talk about your progression.
Okay.
When you got into art, did you know exactly which way to go to actually figure out or find out your voice?
No. I touched lots of different things. I started off with stencils, making stencils. It's the street art kind of thing. I was like, you know, this is classic stencil art. It looks really cool. And I thought that I can give that a try. And that was the first picture of the daughters. So I've tried that a little bit, played around with that. That didn't really fit. And I'm still finding my way, still finding my voice. I don't really know what to say. I think I'm growing more and more comfortable with not really having anything to say and just doing it for the sake of doing it. And I think that is also important in the creative process, to just like let stuff come out in different ways, in different manners. Like stencils takes one sort of discipline, and this thing, beautiful thing over here,
We
it was
do have on the camera. by the way.
completely
Thank you. Yeah.
different way of working. It's like I used my fingers to paint the clay pot because I was thinking, it's going
Like an
It's
actual
gonna be
play.
actual clay pot. I'm going to create this pot. And that felt really good. So I think I'm moving more into that way of like more expression and visceral way of attacking or creating.
Because I'm looking at this painting right now, and I can tell that something changed. I can tell there's something. I can tell there's something changed. You know, it's that thing. If you've lived in Norway for a long time, all of a sudden you start wishing you were back home. You know, so you can at least have a feel of a vibe or something like that. Because when I look at your work and your progression, we could pull up this one right here. I think you could actually do that yourself, and the camera can get that.
Wow.
That's amazing. To me, when I saw this, and I've been following your work, you know, I own some of your your pieces myself. I saw this and I said, man, this is a guy who's ready to take that leap into a different style.
Yes.
It was that, and this baby came out.
It's more confidence now, you know.
Right.
That's the thing. This came because my studio is a part of an art collective called Arrangementet kunst collective, and we're a group of artists in this collective who just sit around painting, and every once in a while we have like these exhibitions where every one of us shows a piece to a theme, and the theme this time was spring. And that's where this piece came out. It was like, okay, let's work on the spring. So it had connotations of Easter and the May Queen and Jesus and everything like this, all wrapped up into the theme of spring. And that confidence to be able to take something and just run with it and just let it grow.
Right. I mean, you look happy. You look like you.
Very interesting.
No, because we can also talk to Francine about confidence. You know, after you wrote Lockdown, the very first one, what went through your mind? What did you say to yourself? Like, was it a feeling of pride? Was it yes?
Yes, I was very proud. I got so many good feedbacks, you know, and I said, yeah, was very, very nice, you know. I said to myself that I will come back, you know. So many people were saying, oh, it's very interesting, you know.
You got the feedback.
Yeah. And I like writing, and, you know, and it was very important. It was, you know, creating Kira gave me energy, and with good response from everywhere. I said, "Wow, this was incredible!" You know.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I like it, and I hope and I pray that the entire Norway, you know, supports this project right here, because I mean, it's a good way to start showing, just, you know, when kids pick this up, you know, they see people who look like, you know, them. If you're mixed, if you're African, and it boosts their confidence when they see it. And they say, you know what, guys, we can actually also do that.
Yeah.
Thanks to Francine Mbanza Jensen. You know, but did you think it was going to be difficult? Did you say to yourself, you know, I'm just going to write this and whatever happens, happens? Or did you say to yourself, you know, I'm going to write this, I'm going to keep doing this?
You know, I didn't expect much, you know, because it's my hobby. I just like writing. And I said, yeah, if it didn't work, if it doesn't work, it's okay. I can, you know, but it's, you know, sometimes, you know, I don't have a lot of time, you know.
Kids and everything.
I have kids, I have my job, but it was very nice because I was working with my daughter, and the Christmas pandemic was my husband. It was like, you know.
That's Arlen.
Yeah.
Hi, Arlen. Hi, we see you. But he helped you out with this one.
Yeah.
Okay. What did he do, by the way? How did he help you? What was his addition to this piece right here?
I had the story, and I didn't have a lot of time to, you know, to do technical things like designing and, you know.
That's good.
And he gave me also some ideas, because it was, you know, it was about Christmas, and we did it to get its family thing.
Speaking of Christmas,
Yeah.
you guys are both from Africa, right? And I'm pretty sure you celebrated Christmas in
Yes.
Burundi and in
Botswana.
Botswana. Is it this? You've celebrated Christmas in Norway, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Is that a cultural shock for you, or do you just say, okay, this is what it is?
Yeah, it was actually what I was talking about
Right.
in the Christmas pandemic. For me, it's very celebrating Christmas is very important. We go to church, and it's like religion thing. And in Norway, it's just gifts, it's for me. It's not, I think that I didn't receive so many. It was not important for me having materials things, and what I was, I want to. I don't like that I have, how can I say that? In many people in Norway, they ask you, what did you get?
Yeah.
Not how did you celebrate? Who
Did you get anything good?
you can have a very nice time, having with family,
Of course.
good food, without so many gifts, But everybody asks you, oh,
What gifts
what
did
did
you
you get? It's shocking for me. I didn't like to buy so many gifts. It's expensive and it's not good for.
But you buy them anyways because it means the culture. What about you? How was Christmas like in Botswana?
I think the core principle of family gathering is still the same. Big family gatherings around Christmas time and everything like this. That is, I married into a family here in Norway with a big family and everything like this. So we also gather around for Christmas time, and it's that core principle. Love it, and that's the same thing
In Botswana.
in Botswana as well, because the big family at home in Botswana, that is just like aunts and uncles and cousins and everybody just coming over to our place to share and celebrate Christmas.
Yeah, well,
With
not me, but
Not you.
I was never home on Christmas Day. I'm going to be absolutely honest. Where I come from, it was pretty much carnivals.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. There was
Festive.
carnivals from the 1st of December to the end of the year. There were carnivals on each street. So one street had a carnival, and we had speakers on each end of the streets and speakers in the middle of the streets. So we shut down the whole street, and there's DJs, and everyone is on the street just partying from the first. And then the next day, the next street continues, and on the 31st, all of them do the carnival at the same time. So on the 25th of December, which was Christmas Day, I was not. Of course, I popped by for the Christmas dinner, and I was out again. I wasn't sitting at home with anybody, listening to anybody's stories. Really, I just went to party with my friends. But I'm grown now, so maybe that's different. Now, Christmas was a traumatic experience for me here.
Yeah.
To be very honest, I didn't really understand. Everyone was inside, and it was pinner shirts, which I kind of like. I like pinner shirt now, and lutefisk, of course, But Christmas back home, man, that shit was fire.
I mean, they call it festive in Botswana. It's festive. It is, as you say. It is a big.
But
Yeah.
to speak on your art, though,
Yeah.
Are there times when you look at this? I mean, I know you have 2 kids, of course, and you work. But do you see this as something you can actually pursue 100%?
That would be nice. I would love to. I would really like to spend more time painting and doing the art.
What has to change?
Start making money off of it, basically. And I don't want that to be a motivating factor. So that's why I'm kind of not getting that, right? So it's
You got to pay the bills.
I got to pay bills.
I get it.
You know, and I need some sort of security. And art is such a fickle game. I can't.
It's ups and downs.
It's ups and downs.
It's ups and
you
downs.
Never know. One day you'll be like the talk of the town. The next day it's like
you're out.
Yeah.
It's a fickle mistress. Because you went to Botswana and you came back, and I remember you came to my house to deliver a painting, and you talked about this thing you'd been working on. And when you started talking about it, I said to myself, yeah, my boy's been back home. Come back all rejuvenated, ready to shut shit down.
I gotta refill. I dip my toes in the African soil and the spirits of my ancestors, my friend, flowing through my veins.
My
it's
God.
amazing.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous. You know, I'm jealous. You know, you came back, and I felt like when you were speaking about your art that day, I could hear it.
Right.
Like you found something. You know,
I did.
And if we can pull back the painting over here on the screen. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I mean, I look at this piece right here, and you actually signed it today.
I did.
Like the paint is still wet.
I like it.
It's
Thank
man,
you. Thank you.
I saw it. And I think the first thing I said was, I'll buy it off you.
Me too.
Like if you tell me right now you're Michael, I'll take it off you. But of course I'm not going to take it off you because it's actually part of
It's part of an upcoming show.
an upcoming exhibition. And how many of these do you have?
I'm gonna make 10.
Wow.
Yeah, the same theme of Botswana and traditional aspects of Botswana. This one here is depicting the Dikgafela festival, which is basically the harvest, where we take our harvested grains, the new grains, up to the chief and like present him with some. Most of it goes to what is not used, to feed the poor, goes back to the farmers, so they make traditional beer out of it to celebrate the harvest. And this is what she's doing, pouring her own brew of traditional beer into the big pot at the chief's village, which is going to be shared among everybody. Traditional fabrics that she's wearing as well is very Botswana. It is called leteisi.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's so many different patterns. I've got this one, got my sister to send me a whole bunch of patterns of cloth that I'm going to be using in all of my next 10 paintings. Yeah.
This is the first of 10.
This is the first of 10.
Okay.
Yes. I'm going to show my roots.
Yeah, it's we had T. Michael here last Friday. For those who watched that interview, and if you haven't watched it, go back to YouTube, it's there. And T. Michael said something, and I'm never going to forget what he said, and it made a lot of sense. And he said, you need to find the parts of you that are from Africa and then mix it with the parts of you that are here. And that way you create a unique experience. You know what I mean?
Here.
Because when I look at some of your
Well
artwork
said.
from before, I could see as an artist who was trying to find his voice, who was trying to figure it out. Because you're lost in translation. You know, you're coming out of Botswana, and it's like, okay, I'm trying to figure out this art thing.
Yeah. Also, I think I lost a little bit of the way because I wanted to monetize it. That was a part of the thing that I wanted to make money off of it, live off of the art. So I was kind of producing things that are easily consumable. You see,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense because a lot of us Africans will come in here, especially those who have very rich backgrounds, music, art, cinematography, just the nature, the lifestyle, the nightlife, the foods. We come here and we are served a plate of something that we think is what is. And just because we don't have that access to go back to where we're from and showcase what we can do, we end up trying to make what we think the consumers here are going to like.
Yes.
and you never find your voice that way.
Yes.
When I started making music, a lot of people were in my ears, like, make it like this, make it like this, make it like this. But what they didn't understand is that I'm coming from Nigeria, West Africa. I know my heritage. I know my sounds, but it takes a longer time for you to figure it out because you're swimming through this ocean of, do it like this. This is what we like here.
This is what we like here. Yeah.
And it's so weird because I see your artwork. You know what I mean? And I remember I told you the same thing. I was like, yo, man, you got to find your shit, man, because then you stand out. And then I look at your work, Francine. Did you ever say would you say you were going to compromise at some points? Or did you just say, you know what? No, I am going to create what I want to create. And if they like it, they like it. If they don't like it, whatever. Did that ever cross your mind?
I created Kira. She's Burundian, but she's also Norwegian because
your kids.
She's here. I was thinking about my kids. I have to. We live here. It's just mixing. That's why I couldn't create Kira in Burundi, but I had to think that I live here.
Yeah, I mean, racism is also inspiring in a way, because it's like, oh, okay, you're going to be like that, and I'm going to create this then, type of thing. And that's the beauty of being an artist, where you're constantly in activism, okay, you do this, all right, I'm just going to do that and see what happens. But did you have any funding doing this, or did you do it by yourself?
It was by myself.
100%?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it went very quickly. I didn't have a lot of money and didn't get a lot of time to find some funds, But I will make new one. It will be sponsored by MD, and those will be translated in 5 languages.
Wow!
Very soon.
These will be translated in 5 languages very soon.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
From tomorrow, actually. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Wow. Yo, this is impressive shit.
Yeah.
Because you're just like casually just talking about it, like, yeah, just 5 languages, no problem. There's not that many people who can say they have their books translated to, are we translating your arts into 5 languages? Just kidding. No, because the reason I find this very interesting that you're actually funding this 100% is because in Africa you don't really grow up with most of us, myself especially, I didn't grow up with a lot, but we made things happen. You know what I mean? If we really burn for something, we get it done. We don't go say, okay, now I'm just gonna type that letter to that person over there and this is gonna happen. Is this thing of Africans being very good at what you call conceptual art. And because I know a lot of people who want to create something like this, and the first thing they think of is, how can we apply for money to do this?
That's right.
Grant. Yeah.
It's just like, seriously. Just do the thing, Where do you think that comes from? Is this a thing that's inborn in us as, I would say, foreigners as a whole? I don't want to just say Africans because it's like I'm talking about just Africans. Is this something that's inside of us that needs to just get things done no matter what?
I did this because I like writing, arts, and, I had, if you are doing thing for the first time, you have to use your money. No one will give you money without knowing what you can do. It can be a little bit very hard actually to get funds because no one, it's very risky to give you money when they don't know what you can.
Right. Makes sense.
That's why I said that if I'm gonna doing this, I have to use my money. And for the first time, the second, I had to do it, but I said to myself, because it's very expensive to produce. And
looks expensive.
And but it went well. It will be, it's good to have,
I like
some
what you
money
just said. Because people, it's always nice to use your own money the first time you're going to do something, and see if it works or it
Yeah.
doesn't work. And lo and behold, if it works well over time, you know, I'm pretty sure it becomes easier for people to see and say, hey, you do that.
Yeah.
Let's help you out a little bit with this, you know. And I can obviously use myself as an example of that. You know, when I started Slam, I literally was funding the whole thing
Yeah.
myself, and which is weird because you, Boemo, for example, do you get this thing where sometimes you feel like you don't have enough information?
In what sense?
In the sense of that, when you are trying to do stuff in the beginning, no one tells you and says, hey, do you know you can apply for funds here?
Yeah, no.
You-
Again, the thought doesn't really cross my mind. It's
Right.
like if you're doing it for yourself, you're doing it for yourself, by
Yeah.
yourself, right? It's like nobody's going to help you, hand you things, and carry you along the way. If you want something, do it yourself, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
You're
if
right.
the help does come along the way, that is great and that is wonderful.
Yeah.
But then you prove to yourself that you've done it, and you prove to everybody else. There's a
Yeah.
certain pride that
That's
comes along
right.
with being able to produce something by yourself. And I think that is also an important part of the creative process, that pride that you feel. That gives you the confidence to go further, I think.
Makes sense. There's a question I want to ask Francine, and it's this, or actually maybe the two of you, since you're both here. You know, we can say all these things about being in Norway and how it's what it is and all that, but at the same time, we should not forget. And this is going to be a question to you guys, and I hope you can answer this question. Most of the times I find that when we as foreigners start creating something, I notice, and I might be wrong, when we're creating something on a global scale,
Okay.
I might be wrong, but I notice most of the people who support you are actually Norwegians.
That's right.
Truth.
And I know a lot of foreigners are going to watch this right now and probably hate me for it, you know. But when I can see my boy Finn David is in the room, you know, and he was one of the people when I started slam poetry, you know, right, Finn? Yeah, you guys can see him. It's right behind the camera. He was one of the people who was in the room. Actually, the first slam, he was in the room that day. Actually, it was about in 2012 or 2013, way back. And I looked around the room, and most of the people in that room were Caucasians. You know what I mean? Because it's this thing where we can always say things like, oh my God, Norway is this, blah, blah, blah. We know. But when you really do something most times, you will see it's mostly Norwegians who will show up for you or Caucasians who will show up for you. You know, it's not like until later then you start seeing maybe some Africans pop out of nowhere and they just like disappear. I don't know what that is, you know. But why you think, tell us, I mean, why you think this is, as in, I know I said like that.
You have the answers.
Passion.
Yeah, I have been thinking about that as well, but you know, I don't know why. You know, maybe I think that we are not good to support each other, and it's difficult for me to understand why. You know, we should you know, we should support each other because you know we have. For example, when I see someone who is doing great, it's very inspiring for me, and I want to know, wow, how did you do that? I get I get inspiration from everywhere, you know. And when I see, for example, someone from Africa who is doing great, for me it's not normal to support, you know.
Right.
Then we say, wow,
It's
this is
important.
impressive, you know. But sometimes, you know, I don't know where people are, you know. And they can say, oh, have you seen what she's doing? She's crazy,
Right.
you know.
She's crazy. No, do you feel that too sometimes, or is it just something am I delusional here? Am I missing the point somewhere?
I do feel the same way, but I think Francine said it. I don't know where they are. It is a thing, and yeah, got to shout out to David. He's been my greatest supporter since like the day one, you know, and it's like,
And you've been doing this for 6 years, right?
and he's been there.
This the thing, because I sit down here with the microphone with a voice, and I don't want to be compromised. You know what I mean? We tell people all the time, we're not here to be liked. You know, you don't have to like us, but we're going to speak the truth for what it is. You know, first of all, you're not paying my bills, you're not paying my rent, so I really, don't know why I should. You know, but the truth has to be told, man. Truth has to be told. Because there was a philosopher who said something about a little thing called cultural capital.
Cultural capital.
Yeah. In Africa, you have social capital, which is your status in society, and you have economical capital, which is how much money you make.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, this goes in every society, of course, but more so in Africa. And I'm speaking out of personal experience. And then you have something called cultural capital. Cultural capital is things money cannot buy. For example, arts, music. You know, going to the museum or something, watching the birds fly. You know, and like Tim Michael said, smelling the roses when you walk past them, which is cool. You know, and I feel sometimes, and I can say this out loud, and people can judge me if they want, that we as Africans are not, and maybe it's because of systematic oppression in the society we live in, where we feel like we're not welcomed in certain spaces. I get that. I do. But I feel like sometimes we need to teach, if we cannot do it, at least teach our kids how to do it. You know, take them to an art exhibition or something. Hey, go check that out. You know, or take them to some nice restaurants. Hey, let's go do that. You know, teach them about wine. Even though I know that's a bit weird to say, you know.
It's a thing.
You know, so, you know, you know, because that way, I think if you start with that, take them to the cinemas, watch some obscure movie about whatever. Because I feel like if we do that, then we train them into getting ready to have the conversations they're going to be having in real space. Because most of the times what I see is that we lack information where I can have conversations with my friends who are white, you know, it's about rock music. I love rock music, by the way, you know, and it's all good. And I feel, okay, cool, that's one way to have that conversation, you know, but when people like Francine and people like Boemo are doing their thing, I think it is almost necessary for Africans to show their support.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who else are we expecting to fight this battle?
They should be here today.
Right, exactly. You know,
Truth.
because when I'm organizing these things, I'm like, I just do my stuff. If any African wants to show up, well, that's on them. You know, if they don't want to show up, you can't blame anybody but yourself, really. You know, not hiding under the mask of racism and whatnot. And say, oh, no, it's the white. No, screw that. That's on you.
Truth.
You know, Jesus Christ, no.
Truth.
I was looking forward to this conversation with the two of you for sure, you know. But Francine, when can we expect the new something from you? You know, I'm excited to see what's the future for you. What do you have in store for us?
Yeah, I hope that Kira will
survive Corona.
Yes.
What if Kira doesn't survive Corona? What happens?
No.
She's a superhero, man.
Yeah, she's a superhero, you know. She'll be back very soon.
Okay.
We talk about Corona. Maybe it will be in June or May, you know.
Okay.
And we'll be working on other topics like racism, and you know, we have it's necessary, you know. We need representation everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We need representation everywhere because people of color are poorly represented. Yeah. Obviously. And people of color are not very good at representing themselves, obviously. I've been organizing events since 2000 and God knows when, you know. But lately, I've seen the change now, though. I've seen people begin to like show their support, and it's necessary for us to do that. Absolutely, because people like you you know, we need to celebrate people like you.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
You too. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we're gonna get. Boemo, you are the only person I know that's African that does street art,
Yeah.
and I know a bunch of street artists.
Is that a fact?
I don't know if it's a fact, but I know a lot of street artists, and you're the only person of color I know that does it. And of course, there's one other person, but you're the only person I know that's
African.
actively doing it as an African. And there's a guy too, but he's pretty young and he's coming up in the game, but I can't say his name because
It's
you know how it is.
Very inspiring.
No, it's inspiring, and it's good to see you do this. You know, and when can we expect your exhibition, or is this something you don't want to say just yet?
I don't know yet. I'm thinking over the summer, maybe. I don't know yet. I'm working on a lot of things at the moment, so it's kind of like juggling. But I'm hoping for the summer or after the summer.
Do you already have your pieces laid out, or is it something you're going to be creating over time in terms of what you're thinking?
I've got
You got the plan.
5-6 ideas planned out,
Right.
properly planned out. It's just sitting down and doing them. And as we talk about capital, you know, I have to like wait for the next month's salary so I can afford paint and canvas, etc., because shit's expensive.
And I'm glad you just said that. I'm glad you just said that, because now you're waiting for the next salary so you can afford to do it yourself. Yet we'll see Norway funding all sorts of things that are not even close to that.
That happens. Yeah.
Am I the only one who's losing his mind here, or is this a thing we see where certain people try to create certain things and they say, "Oh, we need funding for that," and
Bam.
the
Here's $1 million.
It's like, and I'm like, what exactly are you creating? I want to see it, you know. And then here you are creating something like this. There's an artist called David Obi. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure you know. He lives in Oslo. He
Okay.
creates something wild, and this shout out David, by the way, if you're watching. Something not similar to yours, of course, but then again, he's also someone who's trying to push the edge. He's Nigerian, and I see you doing this. I will tell you straight up, I have never seen art like this in Bergen.
That's right.
Oh, I've checked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope not.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus. But yeah.
I hope the camera can point back to this piece, please. I can't get enough of it. It's right. I can see this on my wall somewhere for sure. You know, and I've never seen someone do this. And I think if anyone is watching this from the Norwegian Council of whatever, as in people are creating cool shit, you know, and I don't know if it's a lack of proper representation in their circle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who don't understand how to look out and see what people are actually trying to create good things, or they just sit down and say, no, this is not for us. We can't fund that. You know, I don't know how these things work. You know, thank God I don't. You know, but I just think it's weird how we see people trying to push the envelope in arts, especially you, man. This is amazing shit.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
If it was trash, I would have told you.
I
If
know
it was
you
trash.
would.
You know that.
You have told me before. I trust your judgment completely. That's what I love about you. The honesty is there. It's always on the level, and that's something you can take away from.
Why am I going to lie to you? Why should I lie to you? You know
Exactly.
And Francine, you have created something. You know, I'm taking these home with me, of course, if you don't mind. Is that okay?
Thank you. I can do it.
I can do. I know people say support your artists, but I'm taking this
Thank
with
you.
me, and this is something to be proud about. This is something to brag about. When I talked about meeting of the minds, I said to myself, let us highlight people who are actually game changers, who are actually pushing it and trying to change things every time. We see, Open the Television is one. I went to Sony Records the other day. Hi, Sony Records, and I was browsing through. It was just no person of color.
Yeah.
I was just browsing the faces and I said, well, that kind of makes sense. No wonder why you don't have any Africans represented at a high level in music. Because if these are the people I'm going to be leaving my music to, then I'm screwed. You know, it is what it is. So I just feel it's important for us to highlight these things. And Africans and foreigners, please support your own people. It is necessary. Don't wait for a Norwegian or somebody to come out and say, hey, let's do this. No, you need to take the fight and say, this is what we do. Let us own it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is important. Don't just sit back and say, oh, no, I can do better. Well,
Yeah.
right, you get that stuff too, right? And it's like, oh, I can do better. Well, the proof is in the progress. Proof is in the progress.
Right on.
What's the rest of your 2021 looking like, Francine?
This year,
this year.
yes, I have, it will be performance with Kira.
When can we see your performance?
Yeah.
It will be in November, December.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it will be maybe 2 Kira books, comic books. Yeah.
That's great.
All right. That's insane. You got so cool.
A performance with Kira? Like,
Yeah.
Who's playing Kira? I mean, do you have someone to play?
It was, we had some in Christmas. It was, we were collaborating with Phoenix Theater.
Yeah.
And it was someone from Kenya,
Yeah.
Shelmith.
Shelmith?
Yes, she's
amazing.
very good.
She's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It was very nice. It was very touching me watching the performance. Yeah.
For those who don't know,
very- yeah.
Shelmith is a dancer, a contemporary dancer from Kenya.
Yeah.
I've worked with her a couple of times, and I think you guys should look her up. You know, she's pretty young, still trying to find her way in the game. And I feel like with the support she can receive early, her name is Shelmith M. Seth. It would be great if everyone could just follow this girl, see what she's doing, support this girl so she can actually get better with her art with age and time. The early support is necessary for sure. So she's playing Kira.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's very good.
Yeah, I agree. You chose
Yeah.
the best of them. Leave some for us.
Yeah.
What about you, mate? 2021? That
show.
boy, right?
The show. That's basically what I'm working on this year. Yeah.
Wow.
2021 is the show.
It's packed.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
Me too.
You know I'm looking forward to it. I'm there. All right. Thanks for coming out, guys.
Thanks for having us.
You know,
Thank you
thanks for
for
coming out and
inviting
sharing.
us.
Oh, all day, every time. Please, absolutely.
you.
House is always open to you. Please. Thank you to the House of Literature for giving us the space and just supporting us and giving us all the good technological equipments to showcase. What?
So fancy.
It's fancy, right? Super fancy. Shout out to the team in the building. You can really see them. Oyvind, Vilda, and my new guy. Hi.
You want to say George?
George? No, just call him George. No. Thanks. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for watching this episodes. I tend to get a bit more passionate and more emotional about such things. Because these things are very important and we cannot stress it long enough. You just need to say it, A lot of you probably don't agree with what I said, and that's fine. To each his own, and there's a disclaimer here. So, but most of the things I said is coming from a good place, and it's given the fact that I've lived here for a long time and I've seen things happen, and I've been quiet for a long time actually. But these days I said, nah, we're done with that. We're gonna start speaking our minds now. Thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Thank you to Boemo Hansen. Check him out on @Boemo.
Yes, sir.
_.
_Boemo_.
That's it.
That's it.
And it's Francine
Mbanza Jensen.
Jensen.
And it's Kira on Facebook.
Okay, Kira on Facebook. Please check them out. I still go by the name of Dorian's Grave. We're going to be back here actually on Thursday. Oh my
What?
God. on Thursday to speak to a lady who has inspired me all through my years and is giving me so many advices. And one of the advices she gave me, which I'm never going to forget, was whatever you do, Michael, the first thing you do is buy a calendar. Right? Changed my life. Yeah.
Fair.
She told me buy a calendar, and that was because a lot of creatives have so many different ideas and things they want to do, but sometimes you need to put the dates down, because when you have the dates ready, then you actually want to do it. And her name is Sylvie Roland. She is the head of house and owner of Olebul Husa, which is pretty much one of the biggest cultural venues or buildings in Bergen. She's going to be here on Thursday to talk, and we know Sylvie has been fighting tooth and nails with corona pandemic and how it's been affecting culture. So I figured it was great to have her on. If you're into culture, you're into organizing stuff at a high level, and you want to see some cool shit, and you want to see someone who is passionate talking about their things, please tune in next Thursday for Sylvie. Amazing human being, and I'm looking forward to that conversation. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a good night. Stay blessed and stay safe. We're still in a pandemic, even though Arna Solberg, which I'm actually not really mad at. I actually was happy when I saw it. And I said to myself, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I understand. But you're still the prime minister and lead by example. But Anna, I get it. Thank you for tuning in. Have a very good night. Cheers.
Thank you.